We begin in Iraq, where there is a new call for a new government, this time from the spiritual leader of that country's Shia majority, the Grand Ayatollah, saying Iraq needs an effective government, one that works for all Iraqis. He also issued a stern warning, saying the military advisors the U.S. is sending will be treated as occupiers. Al Jazeera's Jane Arraf has the latest from Baghdad.
Frantic political talks going on here in Baghdad as Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki tries to cobble together a more stable government to help with this crisis. Now, that's been a big part of this problem. It's not only the fighting around the major refinery, around cities, including Iraq's second biggest city, and key cities near the Syrian border. It's that essentially there isn't a functioning government here. That's one of the things that U.S. officials are hammering home to Prime Minister Maliki. If he's going to stay in power and get that U.S. help that he so desperately wants on the security front, they're telling him that he will have to come up with a more inclusive government. Now, what that means is including Sunni Iraqis, as well as reaching a deal with Kurds. Those relations have been strained for years. And out in the streets on what normally is a Friday holiday, with people out in the mornings going about their shopping, going to the book market, the streets are oddly empty. People here are worried. They're worried not just about fighting, reaching Baghdad, they're worried about the entire future of this country and whether it will indeed hold together.
Our Jane Arraf in Baghdad. Meanwhile, two attacks in western Iraq claiming at least 36 lives today, both targeting government forces stationed in Anbar province. The first was directed at a convoy of vehicles filled with new army recruits. 16 soldiers were killed. The second attack happening north of Fallujah. A truck loaded with explosives ramming a building full of soldiers, 20 of them killed in that attack. Meanwhile, it's been almost 24 hours since the president announced that he won't be sending combat troops into Iraq, instead sending that team of 300 military advisors, going on to say that Iraq needs to solve this conflict itself. Randall Pinkston is live in Washington. And Randall, 24 hours later, has the president's critics been silenced?
No, there will always be criticism of President Obama, although some are complimenting him for at least announcing some specific steps that he is taking. The president is moving carefully and deliberately, and while Iraqi leaders have made a formal request for U.S. military strike, for now, the president is sending in U.S. military to gather intelligence and also to give advice to the Iraqi army, while at the same time urging Iraqi leaders to unite.
U.S. fighter jets are back in the skies over Iraq, this time identifying potential ISIL targets should President Obama go forward with airstrikes. Also returning to Iraq, up to 300 U.S. troops sent on a mission to help an Iraqi military overrun by a force promising to take Baghdad.
American forces will not be returning to combat in Iraq, but we will help Iraqis as they take the fight to terrorists who threaten the Iraqi people.
Those American military advisors will assess how to best increase the training and equipping of Iraqi forces, which in some cases have deserted their units. The Americans will also gather and share intelligence with the Iraqis to confront ISIL. The advisors join 275 special forces sent to protect the American embassy and diplomatic facilities, bringing the total number of military personnel to nearly 600. But the president insists this will not be a fight led by Americans. Iraqis must take the lead, said the president, and that includes Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, blamed by many, including the Obama administration, for the current crisis due to his failure to form a more inclusive government.
Whether he is prime minister or any other leader aspires to lead the country, that it has to be an agenda in which Sunni, Shia, and Kurd all feel that they have the opportunity to advance their interests through the political process.
Helping in that political process will be the president's top diplomat. Secretary of State John Kerry travels to Europe and the Middle East this weekend, where he will shore up support and press Maliki for a more inclusive government in Iraq.
Our efforts will only be successful if Iraqi leaders rise above their differences and come around and embrace a political plan that defines Iraq's future through the political process.
While the U.S. is looking for support from Iraq's neighbors, one of those neighbors is complaining today. Iran is saying that the president should have agreed to airstrikes. Iran's deputy foreign minister says delaying the fight against ISIL suggests that President Obama lacks serious will in fighting terrorism. Perhaps some goading going on there, Dale.
Randall Pinkston for us live from Washington today. Randall, thank you very much. Well, today in Baghdad's mosque, the talk centered around how to end the current fighting and how to prevent a future conflict. Imran Khan has that story.
Imam Akhil is a man who knows how sensitive the situation in Iraq is. At Friday prayers in his mosque, he says he understands that many of the Sunni worshippers here are concerned about what the future might hold. He says the Quran, the Muslim holy book, can be the only guide.
My sermon will talk about how to maintain one's religion, one's honor, and how to protect this country, and to help all groups, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim.
His words offer spiritual guidance, but still worshippers are worried, and speaking out is an issue. Getting people to speak openly here to us has been very difficult. Nobody wants to be seen to be speaking about anything political, whether it's the Islamic State of Iraq or the Levant, the other Sunni rebels, or indeed Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. But as the mosque empties of people, some want to speak.
If you asked me if I was afraid of revolutionaries before they took over Mosul, I would have said yes. But after, no, I'm not afraid. The revolutionaries have brought security and dignity to Mosul. Our people are living safely. It's at peace. I'm not afraid of the revolutionaries now.
This mosque is used by both Sunni and Shia worshippers. But as Iraq's war continues, sectarian tension is also increasing. Mosques like these, with an inclusive message, will play an important role in helping diffuse it. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera, Baghdad.